Friday the 13th. Say your goodbyes because Wednesday is the new official day of horror. All thanks to our favorite queen of the Goths, Wednesday Addams. She's taken the world by storm, and we bet she's loving the weather as much as we loved her show and character. And you'll love it even more when you realize the series is peppered with Easter eggs all over. Curious? Well, snap your fingers and let's begin. Starting with the most obvious, Wednesday's name.
We need to do this. Xavier didn't get those scratches from fencing.
Monday's child is fair of face. Tuesday's child is full of grace. Wednesday's child is full of woe. Thursday's child has… Wait a minute, isn't that the meaning behind Wednesday's name? Of course it is. Morticia Addams said so. But did you know that this isn't a fictional fact, but actually the secret behind the character's name? Charles Addams, who created the Addams Family comic in the first place for New York Times, had kept the characters unnamed until they were adapted for TV back in 1964. And when the time came for him to name the only daughter of the family, he picked the name Wednesday after this very nursery rhyme. In fact, it was his cousin and poet Joan Blake who suggested it, so not really fiction after all. Next, there's the double snap.
Because I beat you at your own game? Let me save you the trouble. I'm not interested in joining.
Now, this may be one of our favorite Easter eggs so far. In fact, it was the first one we noticed in the trailer too. Did you know that the double snap is actually an homage to the original Addams Family theme? Of course you did. The iconic double snap and the show's main theme have been such a big part of this fictional family's time on television. So when we heard the familiar snaps in the trailer, we did everything but spontaneously combust on the spot. After that, there's Cousin It. You'd have to be a super fan to have guessed this one. Remember Cousin It from the 1964 series? The character has been a very big part of the Addams Family franchise, and we love the subtle nod to him in the show too. Wait, you didn't notice it? He made an appearance right here in the Nightshades library when Wednesday, Thing, and Uncle Fester break in to figure out the monster's identity. Isn't that a super glam look for It? We wonder if he'll make an appearance in season 2. Oh, and if you didn't notice, another Addams Family relative made an appearance in the show too. Can't remember who? Ophelia. She may not have been there in person, but the house name Wednesday is assigned to belongs to Morticia's sister. Moving on, the Carrie reference. You could not be a horror fan if you didn't get this super obvious nod toward Carrie in the show. Stephen King may not exist in this universe yet, but we're sure that if he did, Wednesday would be his #1 fan. No wonder she loved it when the red sprays hit the ballroom during The Raven. Too bad it wasn't actual pig's blood, but only paint. But hey, it was a pretty elaborate prank from those Jericho boys, and it made our girl smile, didn't it? You'll be surprised to know that it's not the first time the family's been connected to King. Back in 2019, the animated series made an It reference too, where Morticia tells her red balloon-holding daughter that there's usually a murderous clown attached to the other end of these. So iconic, right? There are also all these Tim Burton Easter eggs. The exaggerated yet unique character of the filmmaker also made some appearances in the show. Of course, the guide made sure he was super subtle about them so that only his true fans could notice the references. First off, you'll find quite a few nods to his previous films at the Weather Vane coffee shop, with these wall pieces showing the Headless Horseman from Sleepy Hollow and Willy Wonka's top hat from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Then, if you remember these horribly cute taxidermy statues from Uriah's Heep, you'll notice some of Burton's characters in them. There's even a mouse version of Freddy Krueger in there, so make sure you pay attention and look out for the clues in the show the next time you watch it. Then, there's Pugsley's introduction.
Stop trying to be nice. Doesn't suit you.
Poor Pugsley, what did he do to be stuffed into a locker for Wednesday to find? Well, exist. Because this has been his fate for a long time. Did you know that in the 1991 film, The Addams Family, he was introduced the same way? That's right, only then he was tied up with an apple in his mouth just so Wednesday could shoot an arrow at him. That's a fun sport to play with a sibling, no? Oh, and the archery activity Wednesday picked up in the show is also a nod to her interest back in the movie. Coming up, this Girl Scout reference. This one's another reference from the 1991 movie. There's a dialogue in the film where Wednesday asks if Girl Scout cookies are made of Girl Scouts. In the show, she exclaims that she eats Girl Scouts for breakfast. Well, I guess time hasn't changed Wednesday much, and we love her for that. We just hope no Girl Scouts show up on her doorstep because we're not sure how well they will fare in her company. And finally, the most special one for the fans, Christina Ricci. Now, you may have guessed this one already, as we talked about the Addams Family movie, but if you haven't yet, let us tell you that the first normie teacher at Nevermore and the house mother for Ophelia Hall is none other than the former Wednesday Addams herself. Yup, Richie played the same character almost 30 years back, and she was fabulous in it. So for her to star in the show where Wednesday is wreaking havoc inside the school may just be one of the best Easter eggs from the show so far. Jenna Ortega's also said how she bonded with Richie over the character. We can imagine them sharing notes about how cold Wednesday can act around her peers. And to be honest, we can bet she's only going to be colder when the next season rolls around. Speaking of which, is there going to be a season 2? So Netflix may not have renewed the show for a second season yet, but considering its success, we can't imagine it not renewing it. Do you know that in its first 12 days, the show was watched 752.5 million in total hours? That's crazy. That's even bigger than Stranger Things, so you can imagine how popular the show's become. Also, as of now, it's the streaming service's number 5 show of all time, any language. So people around the world are loving Wednesday, huh? We bet she would hate that, but that means she'll be returning to our screens, which is another great news for us fans. And if it does come back, its showrunners have already hinted that it may include more characters from the weird gothic family. Miles Miller mentioned this to TV Line, saying how amazing Catherine Zeta-Jones was as Morticia, and season 2 may explore more of her powers and her relationship with her daughter. Considering how amazing the whole family's casting and acting were this season, we bet the next one will be even more fun. Now, what story will the season follow? Like, we've gotten no mails yet from the showrunners, but we know a few things so far. First, Tyler's definitely returning. Whether as a monster or a human, we don't know, but we have a feeling we haven't seen the last of the two-timing high. There's also a possible romance between Xavier and Wednesday, which we're 100% sure about, considering how he convinced her to carry a phone that she'd have hated if she didn't like him. Oh, and speaking of her phone, what about her stalker? The text Wednesday got when she was going back home was not the most wholesome message a friend would send as a goodbye, so it'll be fun to see her and Thing figure out who's stalking her now that her monster ex-boyfriend is locked up. The showrunners have also teased how the story could get darker, and how Wednesday may find friends and learn how the world can be viewed outside of her usual lens of black and white. Oh wow, imagine if the next season shows her wearing, wait for it, red. Wow, no, that's an image we won't be able to digest anytime soon. Last but not least, what's the cast of season 2? So the usual faces will definitely be returning, including the entire Addams clan that's been introduced so far. Then there are the Nevermore students, including Xavier, Enid, Bianca, Yoko, Ajax, and Eugene. But as far as the rest of the characters are concerned, especially Marilyn Thornhill and Principal Weems, we may not see them back, because if you remember, one of them got her face kicked by the bees and Wednesday, and the other one died unfortunately. Other than these guys, we're not sure, but we may see Vincent Thorpe make an appearance, considering the number of times he was mentioned this season. Oh, and we've already told you we're expecting an Addams Family reunion, so that's another. But whoever shows up, we're sure Wednesday's going to hate them with the same intensity she's hated everyone else. Let's just hope they don't get bitten by piranhas this time. And with that, that's a wrap for this video. Which Easter egg did you enjoy the most on Wednesday? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see ya in the next one.